This is Staff Meteorologist Paul Trombley with your regional radio forecast. A dense fog advisory continues until 9 a.m. today. Chance of thunderstorms and foggy early today, otherwise overcast. High temperatures reach up to 64. Winds out of the southeast, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Get weather anytime by calling 824-6101 or online at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. Right now, it's 54 degrees.
WTIM.
You're listening to WTIM, your information station. Time now for your expanded local news. I'm Reed Kamai. The Illinois General Assembly will soon begin considering the state budget presented to them by Governor J.B. Pritzker and his administration. The governor announced the budget plans during his State of the State address yesterday. The process this time is expected to be more difficult. Pandemic-era federal relief will soon expire, requiring officials to either make cuts or find revenue elsewhere. With differences in priorities among party lines, legislators may struggle to come to agreements on certain terms. State Senator Steve McClure cites early census data, which shows that in 2024, 80,000 more people moved out of Illinois compared to moving into the state. He believes tax increases in the state have contributed to the higher levels of outmigration and vice versa.
One thing that you can see in other states that are financially much more sound is that they're keeping their population, they're growing their population. And when you grow your population, taxes remain sort of steady. And the amount of taxes that are collected amount to having, in some cases, having surpluses and not causing any financial hardships on the citizens because taxes don't need to be raised. Well, in Illinois, we're losing so many people. And when you lose these people, you have to make up for that revenue. And so that causes, of course, all of us to pay more in property taxes, causes all of us to have to pay more in tax increases to try to balance the budget because of these holes left by people that, were residents here last year or 5 years ago or whatever that have gone elsewhere.
The state senator says despite his party's minority in the General Assembly, policy differences among Democrats in the legislature could help Republicans gain leverage.
There has been infighting. There's a fight over what money goes where, what the budget priorities are. And if there's a lot of infighting, depending on what the governor says today, that certainly could trigger Republicans having more of a seat at the table this year. During budget negotiations. If the governor proposes a budget and fights for a budget that, takes care of all of his Democratic friends, then I think Republicans will be less influential on the budget. And every year we always extend our hands out and we always want a seat at the table. We've always been a part of the negotiations up to a point. But in the last few years, the final budget really has been without much Republican input at all. And that's been certainly upsetting to not just me and my colleagues, but my constituents.
Separate from the budget, State Senator McClure has been involved in drafting multiple pieces of legislation relating to domestic violence. He says the bills would support survivors and keep their abusers away from them.
A lot of people don't realize the numbers are really bad and they're getting worse. Between 2022 and 2024, for example, the amount of domestic violence deaths increased by 140%. So we have a really bad problem, and I was there with a constituent of mine who has gone through horrible abuse, and she has gone through the process of getting a order of protection against her abuser, and the abuser continuously violated that order of protection. And even though he was released on, he got charged with a felony case in 2024, released, and then in 2025 charged with another felony case, and then he is charged with 3 different violations of an order of protection.
State Senator McClure believes the misdemeanor classification for violating orders of protection are too lenient. His bill in the package would upgrade it to a felony.
What is most troubling about orders of protection violations right now, or order of protection violations right now, is that it's a misdemeanor. And so, a person to get an order of protection has to go to court, go before a judge. In some cases, they hire a private attorney, and they have to take all these steps. And then when the judge signs off on it, if the person that they are supposed to be protected from violates that order of protection, it's just a misdemeanor. And I'll just, to put things in perspective, Reed, if a person walks into a gas station and steals a candy bar, that's also a misdemeanor. And, we're seeing that the data on people that are violating orders of protection and, in general, not complying with the court can sometimes be very, very dangerous. And certainly it's a sign that someone's very dangerous if they're not willing to cooperate with court orders.
The package includes Senate Bills 3139, 3140, 3141, and 3142. More information on State Senator Steve McClure is available at senatormcclure.com. State Senator Steve McClure appeared as a guest on the WTIM morning show, and I do want to clarify that he appeared before yesterday's State of the State address. With a reduced amount of event activity in the first 3 months of 2026, the Taylorville Park District is focused on what's to come afterwards. It starts with the annual Easter egg hunt in the beginning of April, with the concerts to follow throughout the summer. In a change for this year only, the farmers markets are also moving to Manners Park, adding extra activity to the space. Recreation Director Jessica Franks is overseeing all of these plans. She says the Easter egg hunt, set for Saturday, April 4th at 11 in the morning at Janes Park, will have multiple areas set up for different age groups.
So we have 5 different sponsors for that event. We want to thank them. We've got For Love, Paycourt, Knights of Columbus, Optimist, and the American Legion. So I love stuff like that where you give multiple entities in the community an opportunity to also come together and work on something like that. So it's usually a pretty popular event. We're just hoping for good weather. Last year was not. Hopefully it will be this year. So there's 0 to 2, and then it goes on from there. So we don't have, 8-year-olds climbing over top of 1-year-olds.
Yeah.
So it is divided out, and there are prizes for each section. So each section sponsor gets 2 main prizes. There are candy and different prizes inside of all the eggs. There'll be an Easter bunny there to do photos and things like that. So it's pretty great for all the ages involved.
After that is the summer concert series. The concerts are paired with the car cruises and scheduled for the first Friday of every month.
And so each time that the car cruise is out there will be a concert with it that day. So first one is booked and sponsored. The second one is sponsored but not booked. And so just looking for some local or, not so local, but, we can't spend $20,000 on a band. So we want to be able to get the best that we can and spend the money the most wise way possible.
How many people, tend to attend these concerts?
Oh, last year, we were 500-600 people for some of them there. We have food trucks out each day. So 5 or 6 food trucks for each event, the car cruise out there. So, the car cruise alone, there were times that we had a little over 100 cars there for the car cruise. So you factor that in with the people that come for the car show, the food, and the concert. They're pretty great events. So it's a really great way for, a local business, large or small, to be involved. And they may think that, they have to spend $10,000 or $15,000, but some of these are, you could get away with $2,000 and it'd be a night for the whole entire community to enjoy.
New this year, the farmers markets will take place at Manners Park instead of the Taylorville Square due to construction on the square this summer. They will be held Saturdays beginning May 2nd.
So that is something that the farmers market, their board voted on. Everyone agreed to move out to the park for this year. They're going to start working on the square soon, and they didn't want to have to move in the middle of the season. So the whole season is going to be at Manners Park. That is going to start the first Saturday in May, and it goes all the way through October. So while that event is going to take place at the park, it's actually still going to be handled through Small Town Taylorville. So anybody that wants to sign up to register to be able to set up there and be approved to sell, their farm goods or things like that, they still do need to reach out to Small Town Taylorville to get that set up.
So is it going to be like alongside the road, or are you going to go into the field area?
They will actually be able to come up underneath the Chautauqua building.
Oh.
So that's something that a lot of them were really excited about, because if there was ever rain or it got very, very hot, it was often difficult for them to be out there. So they'll be up under the Chautauqua as well. And I think it'll be great for them, and they seem to be very excited about it.
Franks also reminds the public that they can reserve spaces at Taylorville's parks for special events and competitions. Several organizations already do so on a regular basis.
We have special events in the park all the time that are not actually put on by the park. Like Walk for Life is coming up. We're going to have an event with the Lincoln Trail, like the bike club. And there is an event where they're raising money for the animal shelter. So the park is able to be used for events like that all the time. You just have to do a special event application. So if there is something that your group or that you want to do, you could always reach out to the park and do that. We just ask that you submit this application to the board for approval. And that's how people are able to have all these events there that are not actually park events. So just want to open that up and make sure that everybody in the community knows that it's for community use. So just reach out to us and we'd be happy to help you get something set up.
More information on the Taylorville Park District is available at taylorvilleparkdistrict.com. You can also reach them by calling 217-824-3110. Jessica Franks appeared as a guest on the WTIM Morning Show. Eastern Illinois University's Booth Library is inviting the campus and community to take part in the 2026 Children's Literature Symposium, featuring 2 free public presentations in late February. Eastern Illinois University's Mary J. Booth Library will host 2 nationally recognized voices in children's literature, offering discussions on creativity, representation, and the impact of books on young readers. The symposium begins Wednesday, February 25th, with a presentation by EIU alumna Dr. Jan Spivey-Gilchrist. Her talk, titled Making Books for All Children, A Celebration of My Life's Work, will share insights from her career as an award-winning illustrator of more than 100 books and author of 5 children's titles. The event begins at 5, with a reception to follow at 5:30. A documentary screening titled Colors of Love, the Jan Spivey-Gilchrist story, will also be shown Monday, February 23rd at 5 at Booth Library's Center for Student Innovation. The symposium continues Thursday, February 26th, with a presentation by Dr. Susan Altieri, Assistant Director of the Center for Children's Books at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Her talk, Racism and Representation in Children's Literature, examines how children's books influence ideas of identity, belonging, and difference. That event also begins at 5, followed by a reception. Each presentation includes a question and answer session, and parking is free and open to the public after 5. On Thursday afternoon at 4, Booth Library will also host Children's Literature Research Lightning Rounds, highlighting faculty research in the field. The 2-day symposium celebrates the importance and history of children's literature and reflects strong partnerships between EIU, local schools, and the surrounding community. All events are free and open to the public. And now a word from First National Bank in Taylorville.
I'm James Kirk, Vice President at First National Bank in Taylorville. I get it. Switching banks sounds like a chore, but we make it easy. I've helped people and businesses move their accounts with less hassle than they've expected and more personal service than they've ever gotten before. We've been here for nearly 70 years, a true community bank that's not going anywhere. If you're ready to make a change, we're ready to help. First National Bank in Taylorville, first every time for nearly 70 years. Member FDIC.
The Taylorville Kiwanis Club heard from Elizabeth Fines Workman at their Tuesday noon meeting at the Taylorville Moose Lodge. Workman is the new director of the Taylorville Lincoln Land Facility, having filled the position in the past 6 months. Workman began her career as an instructor of public speaking, having earned her degree in communications from Southern Illinois University, and she continued her education at SIU, receiving her master's in communications. As director at Taylorville's LLCC campus, Workman informed the Kiwanis of the many offerings available to assist students in their pursuit of higher education. The College Now program allows high school students to take introductory college-level classes, while the dual credit program allows for students to take classes at the high school and receive college credit. The latest offering is a program called Rise Room, where there are several large TV screens in a room providing instruction to students from an instructor who is located at a different Lincoln Land campus or location. Workman is also working with the area youth, creating programs to introduce students to the college educational system. One of those programs included inviting 8th grade students from South Fork and Morrisonville schools to visit the Taylorville campus for a college day to help prepare these students for future educational opportunities. Lincoln Land Community College has a student enrollment of 7,000 students over several campus locations. The Taylorville facility currently has an enrollment of 400 students. The Taylorville Kiwanis Club also welcomed new member Elizabeth Liz Hager during their meeting. The Taylorville Kiwanis Club is part of a global organization of volunteers dedicated to improving the world one child and one community at a time. Weekly meetings are held Tuesdays at noon at the Taylorville Moose Lodge. For information on the club, go to taylorvillekiwanis.com or email the club at taylorvillekiwanis@gmail.com. The Illinois Route 66 Centennial Commission and tourism partners from across the state are celebrating the official kickoff of the Route 66 Centennial, marking 100 years since the creation of the highway. Also known as the Mother Road, Route 66 begins in Chicago and runs through the heart of Illinois, connecting communities and travelers for a century. In recognition of the centennial, the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity is awarding nearly $4 million in grant funding to local tourism bureaus to support development, education, preservation, and promotion efforts of Route 66 activities throughout Illinois. These awards will help communities enhance visitor experiences, preserve historic assets, and showcase Illinois' unique role in Route 66 history. That's according to Corey Job, chair of Illinois' Route 66 Centennial Celebration Commission. More information on the Route 66 Centennial Celebration is at enjoyillinois.com. The Great Rivers Land Trust is getting ready to begin a restoration project along the Illinois River in Pike County near the Calhoun County Lake to restore some farmland to its original wetland status. It's about 500 acres in size, but a significant portion of it floods frequently. The Great Rivers Land Trust Executive Director Ali Ringhausen explains his expectations for the project. That again was Great Rivers Land Trust Executive Director Allie Ringhausen. Now to obituaries, which can be found at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. 87-year-old Ivan Dean Waterman of Harville died last Friday. Visitation is today from 9:30 till 11 at Huff Dean Funeral Home in Raymond. The funeral service will immediately follow. Funeral arrangements are being handled by Huff Dean Funeral Home in Raymond. 86-year-old Philip James John P.J. Sloan of Taylorville died February 5th. Funeral service will be tomorrow at 10 at Printy Funeral Home in Carthage. Funeral arrangements are being handled by Printy Funeral Home in Carthage. And 88-year-old Sona Beavers of Taylorville died January 16th. A memorial mass will take place on March 6th at 10 at St. Mary's Catholic Church in Taylorville. Interment will be at Green Hill Cemetery. Funeral arrangements are being handled by McClure Funeral Home and cremation services in Taylorville. Get local news anytime at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com and every hour as well, right here on WTIM, your only local news radio.
The Taylorville Tornadoes are on WTIM. Listen on air or online for all football, boys basketball, and playoff games